The following episode might contain content that you might not be comfortable listening to. This might range from swearing to references to self-harm and substance abuse. Please proceed with caution and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. When it comes to your fears, what makes you want to run away the most? Is it worries about how it will go in the future? Or is it simply wondering if you can even do it in the moment? Hello, my name is Hazy, Who Killed Hazy, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Only Rainy Days podcast. I think it's episode 24 right now, which is really weird because I swear I just wrote the number down just a couple seconds ago or a couple minutes ago, but I've already seen it forgotten. Nonetheless, hello, and I hope your day, night, evening, dusk, whatever time it is, hope it's going well for you nonetheless, wherever you might be whenever you hear this. I guess somewhat as an advisory or potential advisory, I think this episode might get a little bit more what I would call quote unquote darker, or more me talking about things that I'm bothered by as opposed to, I guess, trying to guide. I think I got some stuff I need to get off my chest, but nonetheless, I think I'm going to do more of a constructive approach towards how I feel in my issues as opposed to kind of just talking about something and then just leaving it there. But once again, I think I'm on a roll outside of recording this relatively late. So, all apologies to my friend who's going to have to come back to this at some point or come back to this soon. I actually planned some things out because I've been feeling a type of way for the last amount of time, and I think tonight has been the best night for me mentally to finally, I guess, address it in a way where I actually want to tackle it. I spent some time earlier today, or I guess earlier yesterday, the 9th of October. I realized that time has been passing me by in a way that has been quite unexpected for me, quite honestly. As I talked about in the last episode 23, Poison in My Veins, before the episode came out, or I guess before I even recorded it, I was scheduled to go on a flight into Toronto. And I know I talked about it because I wrote something that I only titled 4 a.m. in Toronto because I couldn't think of a better name for it. But before I went on the trip, which was mid-September, I felt like I was somewhat on a roll. It felt like a lot of things in my life felt cohesive, as if things really made sense. And whether it was because I was trying to knock things out because I knew that there would be a definitive period where I'd be unable to work, or the fact that, I actually felt confident in what I was doing. 1 and 2, I felt on top of the world before I decided to leave the country, before I decided to go on a trip to try to ease my mind. I was getting a lot of my work done. A good portion of my life was going well. I was eating, I was sleeping, I was working diligently, and there was, I guess, relatively minimal drug usage during it. I mean, I was still drinking, and drinking still stands to be my biggest issue in life. But regardless, I felt like I was in a good place. I came back from the trip, with like a week or two of work completed in advance, and I was super happy about it because that meant I had 5 days where I was able to relax, experience a lot of nice things. Big shout out to my friend for finding me, taking care of me, everything. It was such a fucking blast. But I came back like excited, 4 or 5 days removed from work and removed from personal hobbies and things that I usually do either out of quote unquote obligation or because I didn't know what to do. Some of the days outside the country in Canada where I didn't know what to do, I was able to just sit there and lay on the bed, lay on a chair, lay on a couch basically, and just relax. I didn't have to think. My biggest thought was, if I'm not about to say anything or I don't want to speak, what YouTube video are we watching, or what do I want to watch, or something like that. I was allowed to remove myself from the stressors that I feel on a daily basis. And I came back believing that, okay, I was able to remove myself from it. Now I'm able to step back into my problems and have a different outlook on life, have the comfortability that I was able to breathe, and then start to get into it. And what I didn't realize up until earlier on Monday, I don't want to say it necessarily, but I guess the best way to put it is that was very far from the truth. And I would only call it further from the truth because I had a very large epiphany today. An epiphany that kind of, I don't want to say shift or make, but I guess is quite honestly the reason why today or tonight's episode is focused on the topics that it is focused on, which is I've been running away from everything. I've been running away from every single aspect of my life, which is both unexpected and disappointing, quite honestly, because I came back from Canada with what I would call such a fresh mind. I remember working the first couple of days super diligently on projects, and then I'm kind of realizing now that so much time has elapsed since I've gotten back from Canada, and I don't even know what's been happening, to be honest. So again, for context, right now, as the date of recording, it's 4 a.m. on the 10th of October. So about 12 hours ago, maybe a little bit more than that, I remember the 9th of October, I'm sitting in my bathroom and I'm trying to just think about time because I decided to use the bathroom, take a break from working for a second. One, because I needed to, quite honestly, but two, my mind was caving in on itself, and it's been doing that for the last, I guess technically the last week or two. I've been getting stuck in these very immersive, very big, intrusive thought bubbles, I guess is the best way to put it. I would think to the point where I realized that 30 minutes has passed while I'm on the clock working, and I wasn't aware that 30 minutes has passed. I didn't work. There was an open query in front of me, and I was just thinking about a lot of things, thinking about a lot about life. So I decided to take a moment, just run off. Oh, let's just, go use the bathroom. So I have a moment to myself to just kind of think, because that's like it's a nice little box for me. It feels as if no one can really hear what's going on, even if, my headphones are loud enough where they can. It doesn't matter to me anymore. So I went to the bathroom, started to think, and I started thinking about the trip. And I was like, I'm still giddy about it. I'm like, yeah, super fun. I loved every single part of it. But then I kind of realized that the trip wasn't 2 weeks ago. I don't know how I even got to that conclusion, but I realized somewhere while just sitting there that I got back on like the 17th, the 18th of September. And at the time I'm thinking it was October 9th. Like 3 weeks have passed. 3.5 weeks has passed, basically. More time than what I thought happened. So I had to start to retrace my steps and retrace key events that I will eventually start to go through during this next 40 minutes of me just kind of letting shit out, basically. But I had to take a moment to myself. I was just sitting there with my phone open on calendars, just trying to understand, well, fuck, if it hasn't actually been only 2 weeks since I've gotten back from Canada, where the fuck did the time go? Because it didn't make sense to me. I thought 2 weeks has passed, or more so. We just hit 2 weeks. We're coming up on 2 weeks. I didn't realize that there was a whole extra week involved, because in my head, I spent all the time after getting back from Canada not doing anything. Completely forgot about the period of time where I was working. completely forgot the period of time where I was, spending time with someone every single day, and when I was spending time with my friends, any streams or anything I was doing during that time. 1 week of my life felt as if it was completely deleted. On the other hand, the other 2 weeks up until that point felt so unbelievably short that I started to really stress and chastise. I think that's the right word. Chastise myself, berate myself, because I felt as if I wasted 2 weeks of time because I couldn't remember anything of significance towards what I kind of want my future to look like, or things I want to just accomplish in general. All of it didn't make sense. Hell, I had a moment in that bathroom where I thought I was actually a week late on the podcast because I didn't realize that I prepared so much in advance. I am very deluded from the idea of time that a lot of people, really rely on, or not even just rely on, people really stand by. It didn't make sense. And to be honest, it hasn't made sense for a while, but it feels like everything's really out of whack because I think about my day, or like, let's just break this down for a moment. All right, let's just back up. So I'm thinking about how my day has been going in the last technically 3 weeks. But we'll just focus on the actual last 2 weeks, because that seems to be the time period I remember the best. I would wake up at like 10:30 or something like that. No alarm, no nothing, just can't sleep. I would wake up, spend like 30 minutes, an hour in bed, get up. I would work work my hours, work my 5 hours. So right there, 10:30 to 5 p.m. it's gone between waking up and working. And then after I would finish being on the clock working, I would work out, shower. Next thing you know, it's like 6:37. I'm confused because if it's 6:30, let's just say 7 p.m., I have about 4 hours to do what I want to do. Sometimes less than that if I have to handle things around the house. Like, or just like cleaning up. That's really what it is. Just I clean my kitchen. So sometimes it's even less of that to do what I want to do. And then either my midnight past is always seems to be covered by I'm doing something with someone or I'm streaming. So like the time just felt like so condensed and more than usual because I've been spending more time alone than anything. To be honest, before the trip, I didn't really have a moment alone necessarily, or I'd have less time alone before I would say I want to start streaming, or at least by midnight. Now I have more time than ever to myself necessarily, but it's as if I can't make it work. The time would just disappear. I could be up for 16, 18. Hell, if I didn't take a nap earlier today, I would have been up for 20 hours today. And the only thing I would be able to tell you was I worked for 5 hours and I streamed for 4. The other 11 hours in that day is completely lost, in which, quite honestly, now I think about it, that's exactly how I feel right now. Because if I didn't take my nap, I would have been up for 19 hours at this point, and I can only recall 9 of those hours. 10 hours if you include my workout. If it wasn't for that, the other 9 hours are completely lost to time to me. And it doesn't, I feel like that's like something I've been struggling with a lot. And that's been a problem for a while, but I think I've been dealing with it more so than lately, is that I'm starting to not understand where time is fully going. I guess I'm not scheduling my days properly enough. So things just kind of happen when they happen. So things just kind of fall through my fingers. And then because I don't know where the time's going and I'm trying to figure out, well, fuck, what did I do from 8 to 9 p.m.? I start to heavily dissociate, I guess is the best way to put it. I start to not understand many parts of life. I start to get very confused because I talk to my friends and people that I know, and they'll mention what they can do in an hour. Then I think about what I can do in an hour, and I start to feel like so lesser than myself, that to the point where, it turns into actual self-doubt and self-hatred. It's not even just this person's really optimized about their hour. It goes from, they know what they're doing when they decide to set an hour of time to get shit done, to that's the worst way it is, the worst way to put it, but that's kind of what I hear in my head. It's just like you're nothing, you'll never be nothing, and you don't do anything right type of feel. That's like what I hear in my head, and then I hear it so loud that I start to just lose more time. Now the work that was supposed to take me 15 minutes takes me an hour, because I have to spend 3 minutes every other minute sitting there trying to console myself, telling myself that it will be okay. It's been hard to focus, I guess. And I realized that's kind of what happened the first week I came back from Canada, was still being super disillusioned with time and feeling like I couldn't focus because my head was getting the best of me. So that's like the start of it. So I wanted to figure out, okay, what can I do about that type of thing, or what can I do quickly? Because to be honest, as much as I am doing it, I don't recommend this as the way to move through life. And the fact that I'm doing it right now and saying this still, I hope, is understood as a sentiment that I don't really stand behind this as a logical form of thinking. But to deal with it, and this like random offshoot idea I had was, okay, I've been super stressed, and I know from history, because I have a history of drug usage, that I can work while I'm high as long as it's the right type of high. So I decided to go to a store, and I just started buying more shit to smoke. And it worked a little bit. If I have something I want to get done, as long as I can tell myself to do it, it goes smoothly. My workouts have been going wonderfully. When I'm done with my workouts, any work I want to do has gone wonderfully. Like, it is providing results for me based off what I understood and what I got myself. Again, would not recommend it to anyone, because I believe sobriety is legitimately the correct road to go down. As much as I have my issues, as much as I make the wrong decisions, and I make the wrong decisions while trying to talk about the right decisions, I believe it wholeheartedly. If you can live a life without substances of any sort, that is the best way you can go. But I've been smoking for the last 2 weeks, and then I'm still drinking on top of it. So I kind of realized that I think I've managed to put myself in a daze of some sort in the midst of trying to figure out how to make my time work. Because the time was working in the beginning. I was able to just, mellow my brain out enough where I was able to work, and then I would work, and then I would drink to chill, and then I'll be fine. Even though, again, drinking to chill is not a good thing by any means. That's kind of what I was doing. But I realized now that, at least in the last week for sure, it kind of turned from, how do I put this? It turned from okay, this is for you to work, and then this is for you to relax, to, you're about to just do whatever the fuck you want to do, and whatever happens kind of happens, because it's a bender of a sort. I don't know if this is the correct way, whether it be colloquially or contextually, whatever, but in my head right now, there's a difference between binging and bending. And if you know the terms, you know the terms. But basically, I work my way backwards here. Bending. To be on a bender means that you are like perpetually on something. That's what people call benders. So, if you make the bad decision of going to visit some friends and then, you drink until the night ends, the moment you wake up, you're drinking again, and you do that for a bit, that's called a bender. On the other hand, and this is more recognized, more documented, binging, or being what I am, a binge drinker, is the habit of essentially going and going and going until you literally can't anymore. And that's my thing. I am a binge drinker. I am a binge drinker alcoholic, which means that usually I will literally drink all night until I cannot sit up anymore. And sometimes I'll still go further than that. I recall making precautions before where to this day, I still do it actually. I forbid myself to drink before a certain time, because I know that the moment the quote unquote high comes down for me, I'm going to want to go again. And then I will just keep repeating it. It doesn't matter how long it's been. I've finished bottles meant to last one person weeks, to last a family a couple days at the very least, in basically 2 sittings. Like, if you know what 1.5 liters of 40% alcohol feels and tastes like, I have finished that on several occasions, or many occasions, within 2-3 days, 2-3 sittings, because that was back when I didn't have limits necessarily. I didn't care enough to establish limits for myself. I would get off work and I would say, oh, sweet, I'm off work. And then I would just start drinking. And next thing you know, I'm drinking for 13 hours, basically 12, 13 hours. Every time I didn't feel drunk, I would just pour more and more, just keep going and going. That's not necessarily healthy by any means. In fact, it's quite unhealthy, to be honest. But even if it's not drinking, it's not like I'm doing much better, because now I'm in a state where I'm high for 13 hours and then just drunk for only 4, 5, 6 of those hours. It's not like it's getting better. And I think the substance abuse or substance usage, it's abuse. I don't think the substance abuse is really necessarily, helping my mental state by any means, because now I'm like reinforcing this idea of your problems or what you're dealing with. If you want to actually deal with it, you have to condense it into these hours, because once you're done with these hours, you're going to run off and do whatever the hell you want to do and have fun and run away from your issues as much as you can. That's all you really care about. You want to just sit there and run, get high, get drunk, get cross, do whatever, to the point where your brain is more focused on, trying to count the pixels on your monitor, as opposed to realizing that you're hurting the people around you that you love and care about. Gets to that point, and it affects all parts of life, because not only am I getting to a point where I'm unable to work properly and work in the way I want to work on personal projects. I can't work on personal projects because now my brain is starting to get used to this being a tool to relax too often. And I can't work on the clock because now that's all the time my brain feels as if it has the leeway to start thinking about things that need to be thought about. In the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever time it's been, Lord forbid I know, because I don't. I've been sitting there and I said earlier, I would spend 20, 30 minutes at a time completely frozen, just thinking about life and thinking about the things that I'm running away from and doing and have done, and how do I feel, and what's my fears for the future, and what's my thoughts for the future, and is it okay? Will it get better? What's the odds of it being better? I don't want to hide the idea about the fact that I'm still pretty fearful of the future. In fact, right now I'm probably more fearful about my future than I've been in quite a while. I feel like some of the time I've been spending lately is ill-gotten, or I don't think that's the right word, but I haven't been spending my time well. I think I'm pretty afraid of that idea, and I don't know where it comes from. I think I'm expecting, or I'm wanting, results that are quite unfeasible to see at this moment without a miracle, or I don't know what it is, but I sit here and I think about where my time goes, or even if it's not about the time, just overall, what have I output, and then what have I output and what have I gotten from it. And I just always feel this terrible feeling that I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting resources put into me. I have a terrible feeling that I'm just like kind of being a burden onto a lot of people around me, and that feeling has been quite intensified lately. And as a result, I'm starting to really lose the confidence that I have to want to pursue anything. In fact, I kind of gave up on something already. I'm trying to figure out what more I can do. What else can I get myself interested in? Can I rekindle that flame? Like, what can I do? Because I don't want to lose something that I was passionate about. But at the same time, it's just, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, and something in my brain is telling me that it's not even worth pursuing. Something in my brain is telling me that what I've already done and something that I felt confident in already isn't enough for me anymore. And the switch happens fast. I spent hours on some of these things. Hours, deliberation, going on my comfort zone, asking people in the preliminary stages, like, oh, what's your thoughts on this? And what do you think I can do better here? And researching things and researching people in similar fields, people I look up to. I've done a lot for this type of vision. And now I just look back on it, or I look at what I've done already. I look at what I need to do for it. And I feel this overwhelming feeling of disgust when I look at it and when I think about it. And all I think about is, but what if I just did it a different way at the very least? Or, especially today, I've had a lot of feelings of, what if I just gave it up? What if I just decided that it's not even worth chasing anymore? It doesn't matter. I did something for it. I put some work in, saw some things, quickly, and unfortunately it came to demise. I'm not even interested anymore. But hey, I did it at the very least. That's more than what most people can say, and I can just turn my focus to something else. And I'm really not trying to get stuck within that loop. And it's really hard right now. It's really hard for me right now to not get stuck in that. And I mean, it's a self-inflicted wound of a sort, to be honest. I haven't done enough personally to really reinforce within the people around me that I'm really wanting of what I'm pursuing, to the point where they're willing to comfort me more than however they comfort me right now. Because I can bring it up to them and they'll say, they'll say nice things, and whether it's because they wanted to say nice things to them to dismiss it, whatever it is, I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like at times I really want to just let loose. I'm able to speak basically about what I want in life, but I haven't done anything to actually have someone or people to really geek out with, to bounce ideas with. Or at the very least, I don't feel comfortable enough, rather it's because of what people around me have done, or that's just my own head. Quite honestly, I think it's more of my head. But I'm in a position where I don't feel comfortable enough to really talk about the things that I'm really passionate about with anyone in my life. I could think of some people that I could speak with more than others, but at the end of the day, whenever I start to really open my mouth about something I really want to do, I have this overwhelming feeling that the only thing that matters is if I have results from it or not. It's like I want, quote unquote, results, numbers, anything that someone else will respect. That way I feel comfortable enough, I guess, not even bragging or boasting, but just talking about it. Because otherwise, it just, at times, at the very least, it feels like a waste of my time and their time to really go into it. So when someone asks about that type of thing, I just say, oh yeah, I'm working on something. And then the more they ask about it, the least I try to say it, because I just end up downplaying it, because I guess that's really what this is about to be about, because I'm afraid of failure. I don't want to say insanely afraid of failure. I don't think insanely is the right adjective necessarily, as much as I am petrified by it. But I'm afraid of failure, and I'm afraid of disappointing people. So I think throughout my life, and especially during this type of moment, I try to push down my eagerness and my ideas, simply because I don't want it to be yet another situation where I talked about something and then immediately decided to leave it, which is a whole bigger issue, which actually I do want to focus on more so tonight than anything else. But I feel like I've just done that a good amount of times in my life. I've done that a lot. I would talk a lot of shit about, oh, I want this and this and that. This is what I want to go for, and this is what I'm about to be, and this is what I'm gonna do. And then the moment I slowly start to lock into gear, it all just falls apart, basically. And I just lose my motivation. It's as if I can't convince myself that I want something I truly talked about. And some things were, naive in nature, to be completely honest. Like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about running away and giving up from something I felt so passionate about at some point was computer science, quite honestly, or computer programming, I guess is a better way to put it. Talked a lot of shit about it. Don't know why. I talked about it in freshman year of high school. I didn't have any experience, but I was super confident about it. And it's funny too, because this is a joke about how I haven't really grown too much since high school. And I guess because my dad probably bought me a big ass shirt. But I remember freshman year of high school, I talked about wanting to go to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And I talked about it so much that he randomly bought me a t-shirt that boasts the school name and logo on it. I still have it. I wear it from time to time as a house lounging shirt. It was a workout shirt. I have it 7 years later. I gave up on computer science in sophomore year of high school. It took a year. Gave up on that. After I gave up on that, I talked about art from middle, late sophomore year. And I talked about art for a while. Let's not get it twisted. I did not bring up art. And art is on a different level than computer science, because that one was just a weird naivety, because my older brother was really big into computer science, and he would talk to me a lot about it. So it was the only thing I could think about in my mind. It was just if I was to go to school for anything, I'd go for computer science, and I was just gonna do that. Art was something that really resonated with me. Always been, I don't want to say always been artistic or anything like that. I'm not the kid that had a sketchbook filled out by the age of 8 necessarily, but always doodling on papers. Apparently I was doodling on walls as a kid, doodling in books, love reading books. To make up for the lack of friends I had growing up, I remember having an insane amount of fantasies in my head. I used to dream lucid on top of it, and I would just fulfill a lot of thoughts and things I wanted to do in my head. In the right conditions, I've always felt as if I had a creative mind. And sophomore year, junior year, when I was trying to truly recover, when I was truly going through and trying to recover through my one of my worst periods of time for mental health, I remember going into art a lot, and I was drawing a lot and sketching a lot, and I talked about it frequently. I was just like, oh, I want to draw. My first drawing tablet came from my mom, because I remember when I was, at my wit's end trying to figure out anything, I actually confided in her for once and told her that I was interested in art. And she put up like $50 real fast to buy me a nice, I don't remember the brand. I don't want to say Huion, because I think that's the brand of my current drawing tablet. But I remember she bought me this like $50, $60 non-display drawing tablet. And I spent so much time with it, and I loved it. I made a bunch of work on it, and I made work on the drawing tablet. I was doing drawings and sketches. I signed up for a comic class in the winter. I was doing paintings, art classes. I was like deeply infatuated with art for like 2.5 years, to the point where before I even got my display drawing tablet that I have now, I made a portfolio that got me accepted into the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I got accepted a year after high school, because I took a gap year. During that gap year, I still stood 10 toes down on the fact that I wanted to pursue art. And when I got accepted, I felt a feeling of happiness that I have not felt often in life. I felt accomplished. I felt as if I was truly chasing something that I really wanted in life. But as history is, unless something big truly happens, because this is the biggest issue in life for me, and I don't know what's going to break it for me, but I need to figure out anything in life that is going to break this cycle for me. But my biggest issue, and this goes throughout academics and other portions of my life, when I get too invested into something, I tend to break away from it very hardly. I start to gain a uncontrollable amount of intrusive thoughts, self-paranoia. I start to feel as if I am nothing, I was nothing, I will never be anything. And it will consume me up until I give up on every single thing about life that I previously enjoyed. And this has happened to me so many times in life, because I got accepted into that school, and I worked for that school for 3-4 years. Kept in touch with my old art teacher, my old art teacher in high school, just so I can have her as a recommendation, because she has a history in art. Everything went well. I got accepted into that school, and I did a lot of wrong things for this to happen as well. I didn't keep my grades up in high school, and I wish I did. I didn't keep them to the point where I couldn't even apply for most scholarships, because you need at least a 2.5 GPA. I had a 2.3. On top of that, I still didn't apply for scholarships early enough. Didn't apply to enough of them. But nonetheless, my parents put faith into my ideals and put me into that school. And or helped me get into that school. Pay for it. And I got in, and I was doing the schoolwork, but I still wasn't doing enough. The passion, the way I talk about it, even now, resonates more passionate when I actually started to get attuned to the work schedule of being within that school. And I don't know why, because if I could do anything different in my life right now, if I had to think about anything, I wish I tried more when I was still in college. I wish I tried more. I wish I devoted the time and the passion that I feel as if I could have devoted I wish I did more. Go for scholarships, make connections, talk to new people, challenge myself artistically in terms of concept and execution. I wish I did so much more. But instead, over the course of one semester, so about 5 months, it went okay, a little bit downhill. And then Christmas break came along after the first semester. And in that, I remember for Christmas break of, when is that? 2020, 2021. Christmas of 2021, basically. I went upstate. I went up the country a little bit to go see my grandpa for Christmas. And I ended up having like a solo room, surprisingly. In the 7 days that I spent in my grandpa's house, just thinking about the next semester, I managed to reverse 4 years of confidence. 4 years of confidence, 4 years of building all the drawings and sketches and concepts and even poems and writings and hell, even scripts I've written about artworks I've half completed, I want to complete. Fine-tuning my artistic vision and trying to define myself as a person outside of just what I do, but the medium that I wanted to create art in, the things I wanted to express, who I am as a person. I've reversed 4 years of progress within 1 week because my brain tells me to run away from everything that I love. And it was an insane period of time for me because, funny enough, as a quick side note, that's also when I got introduced to Jack. I'm a really big Jack Daniels fan, and that's when I started drinking Jack as well. I don't even think I was drunk for most of that trip, but I just remember spending every day just, if I had to work that day, I would work, and then I was just stuck in my head, just worrying if I was ever enough, if I could ever do what I wanted to do. And it got to the point where I think I made a logical decision based on my illogical fears, because I told myself I spent 1 week, 10 days, whatever, destroying 4 years of work. Afterwards, I talked about it with some friends. I talked about it some more of myself when I was in a different, slightly better mental state. And I kind of realized that I did so much damage to my self-esteem, did so much damage to who I am and wanted to be, that if I couldn't build it up before the next semester started or within a month of the semester starting, I need to leave because I was paying too much to go to that school with reduced credits and without residency and in-state tuition. It was $13,000 a semester, $26,000 a year. I took a risk to get to that school and I wasn't doing enough to fulfill it. On top of it, I was starting to have fears on if it would ever work out. It was a pretty bad decision at that point. So I still believe it's a logical decision based on my illogical fears, because I couldn't even start to reason the idea on why I should even bother staying there, wasting my money, my parents' money, my credit score, their credit score. If I couldn't even tell myself that, I want to pick up a drawing tablet and draw for 2 hours a day. If I couldn't even do that, then why is $13,000 being extracted every 6 months? It didn't make sense. I left. I ran away from my passion, quite honestly, because right now, as a recording, once again, it's October 10th. It's been, it's been 2 years and 8 months. No, excuse me, 1 year and 8 months. So 20 months since I left college, since I decided to resign. I got, heartbreaking emails from my teachers, some of my professors from college that was like, I hate to see you leave, because, I bonded with a lot of my teachers. They saw work of mine. Some of my teachers, I believe, went above and beyond to help me with some of the things. Like, they felt like they believed in me. And I don't know. I think in the last 20 months, there's any regret that I have in life, even though I understand where I was mentally, I really wish I didn't give up. I really wish I didn't run away from school. And that sentiment is just echoed and echoed and echoed and echoed over and over and over and over again throughout my life. And it doesn't fucking help about the fact that I don't understand that this is a common theme, or that I'm right in it, until the situation has passed way beyond repair necessarily. I always just end up running away from everything. It doesn't matter how much I talk about it in the moment. It doesn't matter how much I talk about it when the situation passes. There is some inherent issue with me just chasing what I tell myself I want to chase, both initially and afterwards. But somewhere when I'm right in the middle of it, my mind just goes to shit, and I start to do all of the worst things I could possibly do. And all the aftermath is the fact that I have ruined everything I was doing for myself and pushed away the people I love. And there's no good way to truly recover from that outside of just admitting the fault and trying to do your best to make sure it never happens again, which is something I've been trying to do over and over and over again. Because this sentiment of running away isn't just related to academics. That was the best example I have, but that's something I've just dealt with throughout my entire life. I always just seem to run away from my issues, downplay them, run away. It doesn't matter. And it's like always been my go-to. It's either it doesn't matter or it will be resolved without my input. So I always feel like a secondary character within my own life, I guess is the best way to put it. But I just run away from everything. Friends get too close. With a lot of friends, I would just stop responding until they stop, hitting me up. And all of a sudden, now I seem to have lost a friend. Hell, the first person I've ever dated in life, I met him about a year after I graduated. Or, not graduated. Clearly not. I met him a year after I dropped out of college. I broke up with him because I ran away, quite honestly. I ran away. A lot of shit started to happen in my life. And the first thing that came to mind wasn't to go to, the person that was there for me all the time, the person that would blow up my phone because he wanted to talk to me, the person who I felt as if I could rely on more than anyone else in my life. No, my initial response to being crushed to the core was to tell that person to get the hell away from me, because I am a ticking time bomb and I am afraid of what I'm going to do to people when I'm really stressed. And that is a true sentiment I have. I push people. If I'm not running, I'm pushing, because I really am afraid of what I do to the people I love when things go wrong. I think there's enough evidence clearly that I actually don't do too much. Maybe I'm just a little absent. So if absency is my biggest issue, then I could just say I need time. And that's something I can do with friends and someone in a relationship. But my brain just disconnected. My brain just disconnects when I get super stressed. And I'm trying to figure out really how to deal with it, because it's, as much as, I feel the comfort of being alone, quote unquote, and my time is my time and I have the freedom to do as I please with life. I think the greatest pain I've been feeling in life lately, and just kind of in general, is the fact that my time truly is only my time. I'm not really good with letting people in. I just decided I should just get away from all of it, because I don't know what to do, and my brain will just flip flop depending on nothing. It actually won't even. It will just It will flip a weighted coin that lands on the bad side first every time, and then I have to go back and make sure that I fixed up the problems. Like, as an example, I was thinking about this earlier. So what? If I didn't take my nap today, it's 5 a.m. at this point. I've been up for 20 hours if I didn't take a 2-hour nap earlier. Throughout these 20 hours I've been awake, I have talked to my brother 1 time. I have talked to my father 1 time. I have talked to my mother twice. I talked to my friends for 1 hour. When my mother, my father, and my brother all talked to me, I felt pissed off. I felt pissed off and annoyed. And it doesn't make sense because I do love them. I do love them throughout all of the issues as families seem to go through, even though a lot of them probably could have been avoided. They're still my family and I still love them. I love my brother. I love my mother. I love my father. And I don't want to break any of that without reason beyond how I'm feeling right now. But every time they came into my room to talk to me, the only thing I could think of was, why are you talking to me? Leave me alone. And the moment they left, I felt that's not nice. That's not a good feeling because I do enjoy talking to them. And that's the only time I have to actually know what's going on in their life and vice versa. So it's like I pushed them away just so the moment they're away, I wanted to pull them back. And that's my biggest issue. I tug and pull a lot. I pushed away art the moment it was so far away. I wanted to pull it back. Pushed away all of my love interests, basically, or I always end up pushing them all away. And then the moment I feel like I start to lose control, I try to pull back. When people try to talk to me, I push them away. The moment I feel like I can't reach them, all I want to do is pull them back. And all I want to do is just apologize for it and make up for it. I could sit here, or I could wake up tomorrow and feel insanely remorseful, and I could talk to my mom the moment I wake up tomorrow for like 10 minutes and just apologize about the fact that I've been a shitty person the last 2 weeks. I've been this insanely gloomy clown, and I know she's seen it on my face because I can tell the way that she's been talking to me different. I can see it, I can feel it. Like, I haven't been able to hide it properly, and it's starting. I hope it's not taking a toll on her, but I can sit here and say, I apologize for that. I can do it for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Just go over all the instances in the last week or two. Just apologize for lack of energy because I see that she's trying to, I believe she can see that the spark in my eyes has been quite gone lately, and I can do all of that. And then I could go sit down into this room, start working for a couple hours. She can come in and tell me about how something that she did that day wasn't going according to plan. And I'm willing to bet you, my first thought is, why are you bothering me? And that's the part that truly fucks me up. And that's the part that I'm really trying to learn how to deal with, because it's not fair. And it doesn't make sense. And the fact that I understand that it's not even fair to do to people makes me want to push them away even further. Because on one hand, I feel like I should try to sit here and learn and understand how to be with people, how to be around someone, how to truly love someone the way I say I love them solo. I don't want to hurt people in the process and use them as little guinea pigs. But on the other hand, I feel as if I probably will never learn how to love someone without loving them. Life is a very volatile, very confusing playground for the mentally inept, in which we're all mentally inept at some point when it comes to dealing with life, to be honest. It's a confusing place to try to just be a person, I guess. And especially with interpersonal relationships. But I think with everything in life, you can't really, with everything in life, you can't learn how to do something without getting into it. Everyone that's proficient in something will quite honestly tell you that. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is, my brain is going to say Dr. Dre, but I don't believe it's him. But I know, like, I remember seeing this, like, one quote from, like, a hip hop rap producer, where someone asked him about the idea of, like, studying beats and all that, and he kind of just laughed and chuckled at it. So the interviewer kind of pushed him on, and it was just like, what are you laughing about? And he mentioned, it was just like, your 4,000 hours of studying isn't going to trump my 4,000 hours of practice. Basically, like, you can study something in life as much as you want and try to, diagram it, dissect it, understand it to the best of, quite honestly, the human possibility without actually being in the mix of it. Or the mix of it, the midst of it. Blended those two words together, excuse me. But, moving forward, you can sit there and idolize it as much as you want. There seems to be one common sentiment in life, which is, you don't understand something, you can't do it well until you do it. And I guess that's my next big challenge in life, is figuring out what can I do to do what I love while I'm actually doing it. Because I have run away from every single thing that has interested me in the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I have spent a majority, damn near half my life, running away from everything that shows me love and everything that I show love to. And at some point, you gotta just realize what you're doing isn't fucking correct, to be honest. Like, I'm doing something wrong here. And I guess, at least to bring it back to an interpersonal sense, because I think this is the point I really want to end out on, is, I guess my biggest fear with trying to figure it out interpersonally is the fact that there's someone else involved. Because I don't mind hurting myself in this regard. I don't mind sitting here and trying to spend all this time dealing with the fact that I have poor self-esteem and a lack of ego at times or anything like that. I can sit there, and that's my issue. I can sit there and I can deal with it, and I can find minuscule help without directing the focus to the issue if I need it. But if I want to learn how to love somebody, I need somebody who is willing to understand the fact that I guess I don't know how to love people. Someone has to be willing to put up with my flaws until I fix them. And I guess I'm terrified about the fact that no one will really want to deal with that. I would like to believe I've been willing to deal with anyone else's flaws, because I don't believe their flaws make or break them. Some flaws are interesting, and it's important to bond through any means. The flaws aren't anything to really focus on. So, with every person I have talked to before, I always love to talk to them about their flaws, their thoughts, perceived flaws. I want to know them. I think that's the point of being in a relationship, of any sort, friendship or an actual romantic interest. I like to just talk to them, get to know who they are as a person. Like, I always want to do that shit for people, because I'm always interested. I want to know if I can help, and it just feels good to just be around someone that you know. But I guess I don't really I don't allow other people the same opportunity. I guess I really would rather someone talk about themselves for 10 hours before I have to look them in the eyes and speak about myself for 10 minutes, because I don't know what it is, but I just get anxious, afraid, and then I get cold and distant. And then I turn it all into shit. It's a weird circle. It's kind of a weird circle to be in, to be honest. It's kind of fucked. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually a pretty fucked situation to be in. I'm happy I've been able to spend this time to actually think about it out loud, though, because now I feel like I'm free in a sense. I spent the last 3 to 5 days. I've been having headaches and migraines because I've been thinking so hard that I've been stressing myself out, and it was always on that same topic. I'm running away. I'm running away from something. I'm going to run away from something. I'm afraid of seeing this through, even though it makes me, astonishingly interested. I want to pursue this, but I'm still slightly afraid about it. That's been destroying my mental lately. But I think I kind of, I guess it always ends up back into this. I kind of just have to do it. I'm not going to learn a different way. I'm not going to get better in this regard. Now, if someone like with art, some things have external reasonings, which is why it can be delayed. Like I can still if I'm not mistaken, I still have 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years, where I can just reapply to the same college, and I'm basically guaranteed acceptance. So in that case, I could just call that a delay because it wasn't the right time, and it isn't. I'm still not financially in the right position to go to such a school that costs that much. But to run away from the idea of making art in itself, the idea of running away from people that I love and people that I want to love and people I want to stay around, it doesn't make sense, because running away from them isn't really going to help me learn anything. It will protect me, I guess, quote. If anything, it protects me from the exact feelings I yearn for. I guess that's the best way to put it. If I run away, yeah, I'm pretty protected. Protected from every single thing in life that I actually want. Not the things that I'm attuned to currently. I'm pretty attuned to doing odd jobs, to doing what I want when I want it, to do things for myself. I'm pretty protected from the things I actually want, which is to be confident in my work, to do the things that I want to do things I want to do for someone that I love, to love someone and to be loved. Pretty protected from that right now. So, yeah, fuck. Yeah, I just gotta do that shit. It's not. It makes sense when you believe that being alone is your best company, right? Because sometimes you do need a moment to just sit there, be there by yourself, isolate. Probably know some of your situations better than others, but nonetheless, still it's good to have people around you. It's good to have people around you. It's good to have interests, hobbies, passions. Chase it until the world ends. It doesn't matter, If it's an interest, hobby, or passion, chances are it probably just makes you happy to do it in the first place, let alone any external goals afterwards. If you want more, get more, but it's not like you should really need it. If it's a hobby or an interest, it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose, but regardless if you have an end goal, you should really just kind of go for the end goal and go for it relentlessly, quite honestly, because I've been having a big issue lately where I've been not interested in playing games, And I'm really close to finally committing back to just drawing 24/7 and trying to get back to that creative mind flow as opposed to playing games, because playing games is satisfying to an extent, especially when it's playing with friends, but like some of the drawings I've made, the symbolism in them, and symbolism, the meaning, just seeing the completed work. It's this one piece I have in mind that is, I guess, technically inappropriately named Drowning, because it was a remake or a reconcept. I don't know returning to a concept of an art piece I made a while ago. It was a college prompt that I had. I look at it now, and I realize I can do a lot better with it, quite honestly. But I think about like what it means to me and how much time I spent when I made it and how I felt when I made it. And I look back on it not just through the lens of when it was finally finished and my hands stopped cramping, but I think about it like, how it makes me feel now and what it represents. And even though it's a sad art piece, because it tackles the idea of losing a friend, it makes me insanely happy to see, because that was a moment where I really put everything I had into me, and I did not stop for any reason. The amount of sketches I made for that drawing was insane. Different coloring. I restarted that drawing 4 times. Had to have made 8, 10 different sketches, different perspectives and character poses. And don't get me started on the fact that I didn't know how to draw a body up until that drawing. Like, I look back on it and I think that drawing is a symbol of a moment in life for me where I really gave it my all. And that's something that I don't believe I've been doing too often lately. And that's probably the source of why I feel so lost, discontent, angry, and unsatisfied with many parts of my life. So I guess I just need to keep looking for things that I really enjoy. And I think I've found a lot of them. Maybe all of them. I just gotta keep going. I just gotta keep going. That's it. I just have to keep going. There's no other options. If I give up on it, I still lose. If I stop doing something, I lose as much as if I actually failed what I wanted to do. So it's no better option than to just kind of go with it. I just kind of sit there. That's what it is to say, pull myself by the bootstraps and tell myself to don't run away.